author but too busy to read all of those amazing books out there? Do you typically read a book and move on to the next without truly absorbing and applying the principles to your life? Are you ready to embark on a soul journey to awaken, expand, and evolve into your highest good? Welcome to the Online Spiritual Book Club talk show with international psychic medium Julie Geigel. Every 8 weeks, we explore a spiritual book, delving deeper into spiritual principles and ways to implement these principles into your life. Join us for enlightening conversation to raise your vibrational frequency and align with your soul purpose. Because if you keep on doing what you've always done, you'll keep on being who you've always been. Change doesn't happen unless you make a change.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you everyone for joining us here today. What would it mean to be able to harness the power of your soul and find peace? Well, we're here to talk about that, and so thrilled to have Phil Bolsta here with us today. Thank you, Phil.
Thank you.
And we are exploring through God's eyes, finding peace and purpose in a troubled world. And you are watching the Julie Geigel Show. This is Life Class Book Club. So Phil is joining us every Tuesday here on Blog Talk Radio for our Blog Talk fans. And then in our members area, we are posting the video of Phil and I with our discussion. So very exciting to be able to watch us live interact. And so live class is free here on Blog Talk Radio. Be sure to register at www.juliegeigel.com and just click on the live class tab. If you want to watch the live videos, simply become a member and you'll have access to that and loads of other stuff I have going on. So today we are discussing Chapter 10, Fulfill Your Destiny. Chapter 11, Your Mind is a Magnet, and then Chapter 12, Ask and You Shall Receive. And so we will jump right in with Chapter 10. I thought it was really perfect timing on page 255. You ask us to frequently check in with ourselves and ask, am I where I need to be doing what I need to be doing? And I think I shared on a previous episode, you know, I've jumped around a lot in my life, especially after I left teaching. You know, I thought I had settled on being a hypnotherapist, and much to my dismay, that wasn't where I was going to stay either. So can you talk to us, Phil, a little bit about how you should be constantly checking in to make sure that you're on that path, that you haven't gotten bored or stagnant?
Sure. Well, much to your dismay probably turned into much to your delight, right? Because you're happy where you are now. And this talks to what you always open the show with. If you keep doing what you're always doing, then you can finish the rest.
Yep, you'll keep being who you've always been.
That's right. So the question really to ask yourself is, am I marking time? Are the days just flying by and I'm just stagnant and not doing anything? And even if you don't know what it is that you're working toward, like you didn't, like I didn't for years, but learn, keep learning. And if you ask, what should I learn? Whatever interests you, because that is where the answers lie. And if you start learning about something like hypnotherapy and you get into it and you're enjoying it, that's great. And then if you kind of hit the wall and think, okay, this doesn't interest me now, what's next? Keep on moving, keep on bouncing around, but always moving forward, being a lifelong learner and having that insatiable thirst for knowledge. And you absolutely will get to where you need to go eventually if you take that approach. All the pieces will be falling into place, but you won't be able to see that until you look behind you.
Oh, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. All right. That certainly is a perfect question, especially at the time of a new year, to kind of reflect and ask yourself, you know, what direction do you want to go?
Hmm.
I'm a huge fan of goal setting. And can I ask you, Phil, what do you do to kind of set your year, set up for your year? Do you do anything specific?
I don't. I know what I want to accomplish. So I just work at that until I accomplish it, and then the next thing appears. It presents itself. So I'm to the point in my life where I feel like I'm tuned in to exactly what I need to do. Um, there are some things ahead of me that I'm fuzzy on, but I know I'm moving towards there and that they'll come into sharper focus as I get closer by doing the things I feel called to do right now today.
Yeah, yeah, beautiful, beautiful. Okay, page 261. Um, Again, we're kind of talking about the whole issue of boredom. And I'd love to read that quote about devotion to destiny. Um, Give me a second. Devotion to your destiny liberates you from the rhythms and routines of an ordinary life.
Yes, it's basically following your heart. If you think, you know what, I have to be practical, I can't do what I want to do with my life because it's too far out there. I would have to study for too long. I don't really know what the next step is, so I better just keep my blinders on and stay in my cubicle and do what I'm doing. That is a really practical decision that is sure to lead to, if not disaster, it will lead to absolute stagnation and boredom and probably for a lot of people depression because they know they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing with their life because they're so keyed on this goes back to the external security is an illusion. I need to have this house, this car for my family. I need this and this and this. So they put their true needs, they put their heart last on the list.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that, it's real easy to fall into that mundane um, practice of life. And I know so many people who are um, dead. They're walking zombies. They're just going through the motions. They're fulfilling whatever agreement they feel like they have taken on for themselves, whether that be a particular job or a particular relationship.
Mhm.
And they're just, um, eating, sleeping day in and day out, and there's not any real passion or joy in their life. And so I completely agree that the the number one way to move out of a passionless life is to find something that um, makes you joyful and do it, whether that's a class or spending time with a special person or whatever it is, but to try to find things um, to spark that creativity. But also, I loved how Eckert, because when I was teaching, it was just busy, 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 and I totally get how you get trapped in that. And I loved when Eckhart had said, someone had asked him about meditation, and y- the comment, I don't have time to meditate. Well, he said, make washing dishes a meditation. And since I shifted in my thinking about those mundane activities and turning them into an opportunity to be present, wow.
Well, meditation is powerful. You can look at meditation as a bridge to move you from density to destiny
Wow.
because meditation brings you to a higher level of consciousness. When we talk about meditation, there's a couple types. We won't go into it much, but you either meditate to relax or meditate as a spiritual goal to see God. And washing the dishes, it's not truly meditation. but you can have a meditative approach to it. But you can also have an appreciation approach as far as I read an account that was pretty inspiring by one woman who said she was bogged down in all the day-to-day life, and then she realized, you know what, when I'm washing clothes, that is caring for my family, who I love more than anything in the world. And everything I do is an act of love for that. So she started approaching all the chores like that, and it completely reinvigorated her and changed her attitude.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm one that doesn't like to cook. I burn everything. And so instead of dreading meals every night, I've tried to pour that into my meal making. Is that, you know, I'm providing something for my family. I'm doing this because I love them and my devotion to them, wanting them to be healthy. And that's helped a lot. A
Good,
lot.
good.
That and Mr. Food, he's my favorite friend. Okay, over to chapter 11, Your Mind is a Magnet. I love the quote on page 295, so let's jump over to 295. And it says, every item you own is a hungry beast, demanding some portion of your time, attention, and psychic energy.
Well, that ties back into what we're just talking about because I love this quote by Richard Bach. It really speaks to a lot of people. I've said this quote to a few people, and they just look at me and go, "Oh my God, that's what I needed to hear." And it's very simple. He said, "You don't have to fight to live as you wish. Live as you wish and pay whatever price is required." So I was living in Minnesota 3 years ago, and I decided I wanted to be in Encinitas, which is half an hour north of San Diego. So I sold everything I had. I even eventually sold my car, and I'm in Encinitas now. I have,
That's in California, just to, because
yeah,
I'm not familiar with that city.
yes, that's why I mentioned it's half an hour north of San Diego.
Oh, okay, okay.
And so I am here, I am renting a room from somebody. I have no car, I have no possessions, but I'm so happy. This is exactly where I want to be, doing what I want to do. I feel a great sense of belonging. Best thing I ever did. And so you have to decide, what are your priorities? Are your priorities things or in living as you wish? Do you value your car and home and fancy this and that more than you value following your heart and doing what your heart desires? Now, granted, if you have a family, that changes things. I'm single, my daughter's grown, so I had nothing holding me back. But still, I have heard many, many, many times, both from couples and from families, that they completely downsized, got rid of the big house to free up their time and money to do things together like travel and adventure and just focus on things other than material things. And in every case, they were so much more happier than they were when they had all the big things. So it's a matter of priorities.
Yeah, yeah, definitely, definitely. And so on page 299, I'd like to talk a little bit about collective consciousness.
Mhm.
And the quote on 299 is, every thought you have can make the planet a better place because every positive, peaceful thought adds that much more loving energy to the unified field.
Yes. Now, this is great. I love this because you always hear people say, well, what can I do? I mean, the world is a mess. There's nothing I can do as an individual. Well, yes, there is, because every thought you think generates energy. And if you are generating positive energy, you're part of the solution. If you're generating negative energy, you're part of the problem. And if you've read Power versus Force by Richard Hawk, Hawkins.
No.
I think I got the first name wrong. Sorry. David Hawkins.
Oh, it's okay.
Yeah, and Wayne Dyer is a big fan of his. He wrote the foreword and talks about him quite a bit. He talks about the collective consciousness of the planet is moving forward incrementally, but every single loving, positive thought moves that collective consciousness incrementally forward. And yes, it's infinitesimal for an individual, but it's better to move infinitesimally forward than backward. And if you are just pumping out the negative energy and negative thoughts, you're just making things worse. And not only are you going to feel better if you are more positive, but you combined with millions and millions of people thinking more positive thoughts are moving the planet forward in its consciousness and raising the level of collective consciousness. Um, one person can make a difference. One person is making a difference. Every person on this planet is contributing to the collective consciousness.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that there's, a number of people out there who always I'm hearing from them, what can I do? I'm just one person. And,
Mhm.
simply through joining in with that meditation, I think that Deepak Chopra is amazing how he offers his, guided meditation, the 21-day meditation challenge. And uh, ignites that force of collective consciousness where we come together as a unified group to do something for the planet, for ourselves,
Mhm.
for the greater good of humanity. So, yeah, you're not just one person all alone. When you meditate, when you tap into that positive force field energy, you
Mhm.
jump in there and create a healing for the whole of collective consciousness. So I think it is incredibly powerful, and people really do need to be educated on not only what it is, but how they influence that.
Yes, and we were talking earlier about Larry Dossey's thoughts on that. Dr. Larry Dossey, I actually interviewed him about intercessory prayer and thoughts, the power of thoughts, because while I was writing the book, I got a little stuck there and I wanted to get the scientific explanation. So actually, you can hear the audio portion of my interview with Dr. Larry Dossey on my blog. Just go to philbolsta.com, philbolsta.com, and look on the right sidebar under Index Larry Dossey, and you'll find it. And the quote I have in the book here is not anything he wrote. This is something that came out in our interview, and I got it approved by him because my question to him was when somebody says, okay, I'm sending you loving energy. You're in the hospital, I'm sending you loving thoughts, loving energy, healing energy. What is that? What's the nature of that? And basically, what he said is this mental and spiritual energy operates beyond the scope of what science can measure or language can explain. He explained there's four types of energy from a scientific standpoint, and none of the four apply to this sending loving thoughts. However, given that we can reach and affect each other through the unified field, that complex web of divine intelligence that governs everything, energy, in this case, when you send someone energy, the word energy can be considered a metaphor for the instantaneous effect of compassionate human intention. And studies have proven, he writes about this prolifically, that results show that this is true. Because he said, when mind and consciousness are non-local, which means they're everywhere in space and time, there's no reason for anything to go anywhere or for anything to be sent because it's already there. And that goes to the instantaneous effect of compassionate human intention. It's really a fascinating subject that he writes about extensively.
That is amazing, and I do want to share that quote on page 301 by Dr. Larry Dossey. scores of experiments have verified that our thoughts and prayers do have an impact at a distance, but without the transfer of any known form of physical energy. Because mind and consciousness are non-local, which means they're everywhere in space and time, there's no reason for anything to go anywhere or for anything to be sent because it's already there. Yeah,
Right.
it's quite a powerful concept. I know I work with Reiki. It's a form of energy healing, and that they teach within that modality the long distance healing, and it is really incredibly powerful. I mean, I've used it with my clients. I've used it with my family and friends who are out of the area, and their reports of feeling that of a change or the healing or whatever is occurring is pretty profound. And I did just want to share quickly with our audience too. I am hosting on Monday nights with Archangel Metatron. We're doing a group healing for collective consciousness, and you can call in with your issues. And it's based on that same idea. We did one last night, and the girl that called in has some issues with candida. And it's just a meditation that I take you through for a healing with that. And afterward to talk with her, it was pretty amazing. At her visualization things that came in, her ability to be able to see the angels that were there with her, but helping her to heal and grow in harmony. But yeah, it's very exciting, especially with moving into 2014 and being able to access things on a higher order than we have been in the past. And I do believe that we've had that tipping scale, if you will, that 100th monkey effect, that enough people have come together and awakened and aligned and attuned to this higher consciousness. And it's really having an amazing positive effect on the whole planet.
I do have to say one thing. I love the 100th monkey effect example, but somebody pointed out to me that, and I did research it, and that was not accurate. The guy who created that said that he basically should not have done that. There wasn't the evidence to support it, and he basically made it up. But I still love the effect. I still think the effect is true. It's just that that particular example, if you use that publicly, it can be criticized with good reason.
Sure, sure. Yeah, and that is just an analogy in regards to
Yeah, yeah.
possibilities that the universe holds. All right, let's move into, well, I absolutely love the quotes. The only thing standing between you and a brighter future is your next thought.
That's absolutely true. And I remember this quote from many years ago. Everyone is a self-made person, but only the successful admit it. And that's true. This opens up so many levels, like you create your own reality. And there's another quote, every man is his own ancestor and every man his own heir. He devises his own future and he inherits his own past. So if you get up in the morning thinking, well, Wayne Dyer says, is your first thought in the morning, good morning, God, or else, good God, morning. That will make the difference in how you step into your day, how you perceive things, how you put put energy out in the world, what you get back. And it's all a self-fulfilling prophecy. If you have a negative view, you're going to have a terrible day. If you have a positive view, you're going to have a wonderful day.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just, allowing those negative emotions to be whatever they need to be, and then moving your awareness or attention to something positive. And many times, as you talk in the book as well, just shifting simply into gratitude helps you shift out of that negative state.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I mean, I teach, 5 minutes. You're allowed to grumble and complain and tell your story for 5 minutes, and then you need to move on.
Well, the whole book, Through God's Eyes, that whole book is about moving into a more positive, loving place and living there. And how to get there and why.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's why I love it. I love it so much, Phil. It really has been an amazing journey. Okay, and I know we've got about 4 minutes, 5 minutes here. I would like to hit chapter 12 quickly, Ask and You Shall Receive, and talk about tuning in. Wayne Dyer says abundance is not something we acquire, it's something we tune into. Phil, can you tell us how to tune in to abundance?
Well, you can come at that from a few different angles. If you're just talking about material abundance, that's one thing. But I want to go deeper than that. Because whatever you desire in life will really elude you, or even if you do get it, it won't satisfy you until you choose to selflessly serve spirit instead of selfishly serving your own ego. And there again, every time we talk, we come back to the concept of surrender and how that is the cornerstone of a spiritual life. And here's a paradox. When you align your will with God's will through surrender, through selflessly serving spirit, on one hand, the more attuned you are to divine consciousness, the more accessible are the riches of the universe, what we're calling abundance here. On the other hand, the material items you long for before you put God first in your life now might just seem like insignificant trinkets. So if you want is what you want is $1 million, yeah, you can follow things like The Secret, which is pretty much a superficial way for getting what you want that doesn't really work necessarily for the reasons I'm mentioning, or you can go deeper and align with divine will, and then guess what? All of a sudden, you don't need the $1 million because your life is overflowing with abundance of a different nature. And abundance doesn't necessarily mean money and things. It can mean abundance of joy, abundance of friends, abundance of all sorts of non-tangible things. So that could be a 3-hour discussion all its own. And as far as material abundance, there's a lot of people, including me, who had some things that we need to heal and get past as far as attitudes about why having money is not a good thing, or if somebody feels they're not deserving of money. And that's another 2-hour discussion. So I do write about that in the book, and a long story about my own journey through that, and looking at why perhaps I've been pushing material abundance away while I feel I have a great storehouse of spiritual abundance, which I value far more.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I think that, that does block many people on the spiritual path is that they're afraid of change and they're afraid that they have to give up everything that they have in order to attain that attunement. Um, but you don't, that certainly is a misnomer because you definitely can have it all. I believe that,
Mm.
the riches of the universe are unlimited. But it is when you awaken you reprioritize, and suddenly all that material wealth that you thought would be so grand isn't even important anymore.
Right. And you don't have to necessarily give up everything you have. You just have to be willing to give it up. And then the magic happens.
Right. Yeah, the surrendering of it within your mind and spirit. Beautiful. All right. Well, Phil, another wonderful episode here, and the time just flies. Um, that was our discussion on chapter 10, Fulfilling Your Destiny, 11, Your Mind is a Magnet, and 12, Ask and You Shall Receive. Thank you so much, everyone, for watching today, and we hope to see you back here next week. We'll be talking about See Every Moment as a Gift, Detach from Outcomes, and Welcoming Adversity. And Phil, can you share your links with us real quick?
Yes, you can order Through God's Eyes at the link godseyes.amazon.com. You can learn more about the book at godseyesbook.com. You can email me at godseyes@me.com. And if you email me, I'll send you a free copy of my ebook, The Logic of Living a Spiritual Life.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you, everyone. Don't forget to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. And remember, if you keep on doing what you've always done, you'll keep on being who you've always been. Change doesn't happen unless you make a change. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you for using Blog Talk Radio. Goodbye.
Thank you, Julie.